And now we welcome Keelan White to Crown Gridiron Nation on TSN. Keelan, how's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
How is the season going so far for you guys at Montana?
It's going really well. We're up to 4-1 now, so we're uh, we're we're getting there. We're cleaning things up. We're kind of getting our groove. So yeah, it's just going pretty well right now.
It must have been an adjustment coming off that run to a national championship because you lose pieces. Everything's always in transition in the off season. What did you guys have to work on as a team, and what did you have to work on as an individual in the off season?
Well, it was really just not. We returned most of our offense coming back, so we knew we kind of had that to lean on. We lost quite a bit on defense, but we did really good transfer portal recruiting, and I feel like we filled the right spots, and we're pretty good all around. But yeah, it's pretty much the main focus was just not being complacent and just focusing on that first game coming up and just trying to win every week.
Yeah, I think you had a 99-point game in total against Eastern Washington on Saturday with a whole lot of offense on both sides.
Yeah.
You must like those fireworks that you get in the big sky in terms of wide open offenses.
Yeah, it was a crazy game, barn burner and Cheenies, right? So, but yeah, no, it was good.
Yeah. Tell me about your playoff run because I think that's when we could really start telling your story to Canada. And I'm sure it's going to become the stuff of legend in Montana in terms of the role that you played, in terms of being the either the deciding factor or the dagger in nearly every playoff game in that run up to getting to a national championship. How did that impact you? Like, what were you experiencing through all of that?
That was a surreal run. Like that was I'll never forget that season. And yeah, no, I was just focusing on just making the plays if they come my way. Like we had a lot of play, we have a lot of playmakers on offense, and there's a lot of opportunity out there, and you just gotta. I just was focused on making my opportunities count, and it turned out to be in the biggest situation. So just make the plays when they come your way.
Well, and that must connect you to the community. Obviously, coming into a program like Montana in that state with that football culture that they have, first of all, tell me about. Pretend I'm an alien. Pretend everybody watching the show is an alien. Can you explain to them what football means to those people in Montana?
Oh, it means so much. Like Missoula comes becomes one of the biggest college towns ever on game day, and like people drive from all over the state. There's people driving 6-8 hours just to come watch a game. Um, yeah, the pride here for Montana football is pretty amazing and pretty surreal. Yeah, so.
And so, how did that playoff run where you were making key plays at key times, basically in some cases even getting walk-off points? How did that connect you with that community even deeper?
Oh, just seeing like the joy on people's faces after the game, like just seeing what it meant to the state of Montana and the city of Missoula for uh, just yeah, seeing that after the games and how much people were grateful and telling me like oh we're so proud of you and all that other stuff. Like it was pretty amazing to see what it meant to them.
Now, I was born in North Vancouver. You're a North Van guy, so that's where you came up in football. Uh, Tell us about your experience at North Van, going to Handsworth, coming up through the Canadian system, because a lot of athletes now make the choice to leave early, go to an academy. Tell me how you got your exposure. I know you even played for Team Canada at the International Bowl. Tell me about that process.
Yeah, so really coming through high school, I knew I always wanted to go down to the states and play NCAA football, but it's just really the path to getting there. There's no real like set path to getting there. Being Canadian, you can go down play high school, or you can ball out up north and see what happens there. But I think what also really helped me was the 7-on-7 aspect, being able to travel and go down and like compare or test yourself against some of this American competition that was down there. So that was pretty big. And then just being able to get yourself out there and like sell yourself and like I was going down to camps, driving down to camps every other weekend in the summer, just kind of being able to showcase what I can do against the American competition. Yeah. So.
Tell me more about the 7-on-7 experience. Who was the group that you worked with, and what kind of talent was there? There must be some names for those who follow college football or even professional football that must understand the type of talent that is at these 7-on-7 events.
Like, you mean on our team, or just like around?
Just around,
Oh,
and just across. Like, who are you going against in some
yeah,
cases?
no, like our first year we went down to Vegas. We played against Bishop Gorman with like Tate Martell, and yeah, it was like some pretty big time D1 commits that are playing in this 7-on-7 tournament. So it's huge to go down there and play against them.
Tell me about your father. He had time in professional football. What was his path, and then what did he share with you as you were coming up through the system and getting and finding your way to Montana?
Yeah, so my dad played high school football in Oakville, Ontario, and then he got a scholarship to come out to play to SFU, and so he and then he played at SFU and then went on to the CFL. So, but his thing was playing at SFU. They're a D2 school, so they play down in the states, and they play against the American competition. And SFU was one of the biggest CFL. They have the biggest CFL draftees out of any other school in Canada. So it's just he was really instilling in me that you have to show what you can do against the American competition, or like the better competition, good competition, and see so you can just showcase yourself. So yeah,
I
was,
briefly mentioned Team Canada. Tell me about your Team Canada experience. Did you go down to Dallas for the international? Were you down in Arlington for one of those?
yeah. I went for two of those actually. So on I played 2 years of U18 BC of Team BC, and I played on the I went down my first year. I was playing with Jalen Philpott, Tyson Philpott, and then we that first year we won, and then the next year I went down by and we ended up losing, but it was a great experience just going against those guys and being down there in the AT&T Stadium.
I was just going to say, when you go up against a U18 team that is sponsored by USA Football, and, Team Canada is kind of a bit of a pay to play thing. You have to make a bit of an investment to make the
Yeah.
trip down to Dallas, but those guys on the other side of the field have everything paid for them. They've had the opportunity to have an organization kind of back them up, and you find a way to win with the athletes that you had. You had an impressive group of athletes on that U18 team when the Philpotts were there, didn't you?
Yeah, that was a pretty good team we had down there, and
Yeah.
it was just it's good, like, it was good to show that, like, like Canada can ball too. We may not have as many good as top tier players, but we if we can put a team together, we're pretty unstoppable.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure that when you beat a team of that caliber, it makes you believe that you can go to the next level and you can go down there and show your best with the rest of them. One of the things that I wanted to bring up, your coloring book.
Yeah.
Tell people about that may not know about your coloring book and what's it all about and what's it for.
Yeah, so well, down here as a Canadian, it's hard to find NIL stuff, and I can't really make uh, any money being down here on a student visa. So me and my dad came up with an idea to to make a coloring book, because I want to do like T-shirts or something, but like everybody does like T-shirts and merch, and there's a really um, big community of young Grizzlies, like young Grizz fans and kids. Like, we put on these summer camps every summer, and like hundreds of kids show up to be able to learn and play football with Grizz players. So I kind of saw the impact I had on them, and started. I kind of wanted to make something for them, and yeah, that's what I did. Actually, I got a copy right here of it, actually, right here. So it's
There we go.
yeah,
Please
Canadian.
send me one in the mail.
I
I'll,
will.
I'll get I'll get my crayons out for that one. Uh, speaking of summer camps, um, I believe that you connected with Nolan Ulm on his camp that he was staging
Hmm.
in Kelowna. What was it like to get together with that group that he put together in terms of NCAA, NFL, CFL athletes, coaches? What was it like to get together and trade stories and trade experiences, and then do something in the community in British Columbia?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. Nolan's a super process oriented guy. He's a very driven human being, and I commend him for what he put on this summer. Just the message of being able to we're there for development, right? So we're getting all these guys who either went through it or are still in it, and from Canada or from the States, like basically showing those kids that like it's possible to do it if you just stick to the process and get better every day and improve. And it was fun being able to kind of exchange stories of how some guys like made it out and other stuff. So yeah, it was a really awesome experience.
So, when you're talking to some of these younger athletes, what sort of advice are you giving them in terms of getting exposure to get to the next level?
Um, my I was biggest thing is just staying consistent and being consistent. Like you can make all these plays like every once in a while, but if you're not doing that consistently, then like no one's really gonna trust you to be able to perform at at a higher level. So yeah, it's basically working at your craft, getting better at your craft every day, and just staying consistent in that process.
Do you focus on the next level much, or do you focus on the next snap, the next practice, the next
Yeah,
play?
yeah,
What is your process? How much does a professional career weigh in your process?
yeah. I mean, I do have aspirations to play the next level, but for right now, I'm focused on this season and the next week, the next game, just going 1-0 every week, and hopefully trying to make it back to that national championship.
Yeah, is there a path for you to the national championship with this group that you have? Do you have the same level of belief that you had last year at this time?
Yeah, I mean, last year I would say we kind of were we lost our first conference game, so our mentality every week was just keep winning. We got to keep winning, and then like our wins stacked up, and we ended up in the national championship. So that was, and this year now that we had a taste of that, it's kind of like okay, well, same kind of thing. Like you can't get to the national championship in 1 week. You got to win every week and just keep winning. So I think we can, if we buckle down and go to work, I think we can get back there. So, and we have a pretty talented group to do it. So, yeah.
And lastly, I'm guessing that any road to a national championship, a conference championship, when you're situated at Montana, goes through some road through Montana State and vice versa. Tell people about that rivalry game and what sort of impact it has.
No, that game is huge for the state of Montana. It's there. I know people who live here in Missoula that won't even go to Bozeman because of that rivalry and stuff. Like it's insane. There's so much pride and history and everything behind it. And yeah, usually it comes down. It's the last game of the season every year. We alternate playing at home and or playing in Missoula and playing in Bozeman. So yeah, we got a big 300-pound bronze trophy for whoever wins and gets to keep it till the next year. So yeah, that rivalry is huge, and I think it's one of the biggest in college football.
Keelan, thanks very much for the time. I appreciate it. We have really enjoyed seeing your arc and your story develop and continued success in Montana.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. It was a pleasure.